Let's walk and talk about how difficult it could be to use an EV if you have no idea what you're doing or what you're talking about, because we have ourselves a prime example of copious amounts of wrong information relative to EVs. Our subject video is of an EV driver who seemed to get in over his head. Unfortunately, sometimes technology is hard to use if you've never been brought up to speed.
Y'all are lying about these damn electric cars. My brother got the electric Equinox and he's like, hey Andrew, can you charge this today? Because I can't go to work and back on this charge.
So it seems that right from the start, this dude was set up for failure. Most EV owners, myself included, will do enough research on the car of their choice before they buy it to avoid issues like this.
I'm like, yeah, whatever, he took my car. So my dumbass is sitting here, watching this thing charge like the Dickens. I'm at a fast charger. Not only does it cost just as much as gas does right now to fill these up.
Yes, that's correct. Charging an EV can cost as much as gas if you are forced to only charge at paid charging stations. But this dude forgets that most people plan these kinds of purchases, so they factor in home charging.
But you also have to go and spend an hour to an hour and a half of your time in 10 to 15 minutes.
I can agree with this point, only if it's a long distance trip. Otherwise, anyone with any sense is going to charge it just enough to make it to their destination with some kind of buffer, rather than taking it to 100%.
Just to figure out how to use this thing because the card readers never work. So you have to download an app, submit.
In the Army, I learned about the 6 P's. Poor planning prevents piss poor performance. Again, I blame this on his brother because app usage is synonymous with technology, like, EV technology.
Then you have to actually unplug the car, plug it back in, then it resets and you gotta. So I've been here, 25 people have gotten gas since I've been sitting here.
I'll give him that. Sometimes EV chargers don't work as well as they should. That's where prior planning comes in, especially via app usage. When I had an EV, I never ran into issues plugging in and charging because my app told me where to go for working EV chargers.
Just for me to allow my car to get plugged in, and then it wasn't working, so I had to turn off everything, restart, no shortage of 5 times.
It seems like this dude was dealing with an ID10T error. Perhaps the problem was somewhere between the floor he was standing on and the charger he was holding.
By the way, if you don't want to spend $2,500 on installing a car charger in your garage, you literally have to plug it into the 120 outlet that comes with the car.
Man, this poor sap clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. I think I paid about $300 to install my level 2 charger. And based on what I found on Reddit, the pricing can vary from one house to the next. Factors that influence the cost include having to upgrade your main service panel if you have a small amperage panel, running conduit long distances like from one side of the house to the other, or if you're having to run the conduit in such a way that requires additional extra work.
And guess what? You get 1 mile per hour charge. 1 mile per hour. So you can charge your car overnight and get 12 miles. So you literally can't use that.
He's got a point there, but then at the same time, at home electricity is less expensive. And again, people who buy an EV typically plan for these kinds of things. I mean, who goes out and buys a $40,000 car without research?
It's not even possible to use these cars without getting the actual garage $2,500 thing installed.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Ain't nothing impossible, except for maybe the Chargers doing well in the playoffs.
And then once you do that, you're spending more on electricity anyways.
How is this even a complaint? Dude, if you buy more quantity of anything, you spend more, including electricity and gas. Now I think this dude just likes to complain. And you know what they say about complainers, right?
The technology's just not there, people. Do not do it. Don't let some dumb salesman rope you into it because of the rebates on these cars.
I'm more often than not a polite and considerate person. However, when people show their ignorance and then preach it from the top of the hill, you make yourself a target. Dog, only certain people spend tens of thousands of dollars without knowing what they're buying.
The reason why there's such good rebates on these cars is because the infrastructure is not set up for them sustainably.
Damn, son, this guy's a life coach? Some reasons why incentives for EVs exist include increasing EV adoption, meeting policy expectations, reaching economies of scale and reducing acquisition costs, and reducing oil dependence, among others.
When I have to stand out here in the middle of winter in the snow for 10 to 15 minutes learning how to plug in a car.
Look, there are 3 reasons why this was an inconvenience for this dude. His brother set him up for failure. This dude has no clue what he's doing. I mean, nothing is convenient if you don't know what you're doing. And the 3rd reason, well, it's not so nice, so I'm gonna keep it to myself.
There's nothing user-friendly about that experience, and I'd rather just get gas 1,000 times over.
I couldn't disagree more. I was an early EV adopter back in 2013 with all of 65 miles of range, and I drove that little EV car all over San Diego County for 3 years. I planned my drives, knew exactly where I was going to charge and when, and used that charge time to be productive by whipping out my laptop and, doing work. The fact is that EVs do have drawbacks, like anything else in life. But unfortunately, Andrew is well over his head talking about something he has no idea about. Take, for example, EVs don't do great in the cold. They take longer to charge than a gas car takes to refuel, and there are clearly not as many EV options as ICE cars. EVs aren't for everyone, especially this dude, but they are for a lot of people, such that in 2024, EV sales accounted for 10% of new car sales, and that figure is only projected to grow. One of the main reasons is in fact the cost of charging, especially charging at home. By comparison to an ICE vehicle, an EV can save you a whole lot of money, and you can even charge it with solar panels. Let me see you refine your own gas at home. For those who've considered it and have done more research than this life coach, check out the DroneQuote EV calculator and see how an EV stacks up against your ICE car. Check it out at DroneQuote.com.